This is the AHSAA Weekly, an inside look at everything happening with the Alabama High School Athletic Association. I'm John Holder. Coming up on this week's show, Jamie Lee, Director of the Alabama High School Athletic Directors and Coaches Association, and also in charge of basketball for the Alabama High School Athletic Association. He will be along to put a recap on the entire week of the state finals last week in Birmingham at the 98th State High School Basketball Championships. Also, we will take a look at highlights over the next couple of weeks of all of the state championship games, boys and girls, 1A through 7A from the state finals in Birmingham. All of that and a whole lot more on this week's edition of the AHSAA Weekly.
Home making you sick? Ox Foundation Solutions can remedy any mold or mildew problem in your home. Get a free estimate from Ox Foundations. It's time to get strong. OxStrong.com.
We are back on the AHSAA Weekly. We're taking you to Montgomery. We are winding up the Alabama High School Athletic Association state finals from last week. Jamie Lee is the director of the Alabama High School Athletic Directors and Coaches Association, also in charge of basketball for the Alabama High School Athletic Association. So obviously, Jamie, you had a little bit of a busy week last week in Birmingham at the state finals. It was a great week. I'm sure you'll agree.
It was awesome. We absolutely had a fantastic week. Got to see a lot of good basketball teams, a lot of good basketball players, and just a fantastic week with all the people that attended. And City of Birmingham did a fantastic job hosting us. Just had a lot of fun and very proud of what we were able to accomplish for our member schools.
Well, the attendance figures were off the chart. Over 65,000 during the week coming to the Legacy Arena, including over 16,000 on Championship Saturday. Boy, basketball is doing well here in the state of Alabama.
It's doing great. We are very fortunate to have good players and good coaches and good teams. And obviously, like you said, over 16,000 on Saturday. So we have great support throughout our state for those student athletes and those communities that were involved on Saturday. Not just Saturday. We had great events starting the Monday before, but obviously Saturday was a great way to finish the week.
Jamie, I know as the director of the Alabama High School Athletic Directors and Coaches Association, working very closely with coaches and ADs, one of the things I know you have to be especially proud of is the fact that during 42 games from Monday through Saturday, I believe there were only like 3 technical fouls in the game. None of those involved coaches whatsoever. Great sportsmanship. This was a very well-played tournament from beginning to end, Monday through Saturday.
It was, and I think that's probably a testament to the type of men and women we have leading our young people in our state. I wish I could take credit for that, but I know I can't. We have just tremendous coaches, and there's a reason they're there. They're championship level. They understand how to handle kids, how to handle the officials, how to handle all the things that go in with trying to run their teams. And I do think it's a great testament to the sportsmanship that was shown throughout the course of the week, that the fact that they handled themselves the way they should have with officials. And the couple of instances we had, that's just part of being a kid and learning from mistakes, but also the competition that brings that out sometimes. And so, yes, we're very fortunate and very happy to the way our players and our coaches acted throughout the week.
There was also some big news coming after the state finals, and that was reclassification for winter sports, including basketball, announced on Tuesday of this week. Some pretty big changes. Basketball-wise, there were some changes, but also some changes to some other winter sports, particularly wrestling and bowling. Tell us about some of the changes coming.
That's right. We were able to release all of our winter sports classifications, and starting with basketball, obviously the big one, but and there weren't a lot of changes there, not much different than the football classification. We just had a couple of competitive balance issues there. With St. Luke's moving up to 2A from their 1A enrollment classification, and Madison Academy, because of their success, moving up. But like you said, wrestling and bowling and wrestling, we're going to be able to create a different class with 1A through 4A versus 1A through 5A, and that should give some of our smaller schools the ability to compete on a little more even level, moving 5A and 6A together versus 6A being by themselves. And I think that's going to help especially our smaller schools, be able to compete, have the opportunity to win a championship. And then in bowling, we're very excited to create a second division, basically. We've got enough schools now, both in boys and girls, to where we're able to create a second division or a second class, per se, in bowling. So now we're going to be able to give, instead of giving one boys and one girls champion, we're going to be able to give 2 boys and 2 girls champions in the sport of bowling.
And Jamie, basketball, obviously talking about the numbers and the success of the state playoffs and the state tournament, doing very well. But you know, wrestling is growing and thriving, maybe growing as much as any sport in the state. Bowling the same way. I think having to have different classifications shows the growth of both of those sports.
Yes, exactly right. That is right. Our wrestling continues to grow, which is a byproduct of the hard work put in by our wrestling coaches and beginning to get that out and get the word out. More and more young people wanting to wrestle and support or be a part of their programs at their schools, which is continuing to grow. And then bowling, and it's really amazing. I don't know if any of you have ever been to our bowling championships, but it's amazing to watch all those kids get in there and bowl. And so it does continue to grow, and it's a great thing for our state. It gets more student athletes involved and being able to compete and represent their schools.
Well, I know you need some rest this week. Everybody involved with the state finals. It's a long week. It's an enjoyable week, but it's a long week as well. Thank you for all the work that you do with basketball. Really one of the more successful state tournaments anywhere in the country. Thank you for the work that you do with basketball and the state finals, and for being with us this week on the AHSAA Weekly.
Well, thank you so much. We really do appreciate it. And yes, we feel like we have one of the best state championships in the world. Thank you so much for the TV coverage. Did a phenomenal job with the TV coverage. We've heard a lot of reports from people watching that, and very thankful that we were able to do that. So we thank you for being able to do that, and just very proud of our event. We look forward to trying to continue to build that as the years to come. Now we turn to the spring semester and all our spring sports. So we'll have a great spring sports as we move into the end of the year.
Before we leave, talking about the television coverage, the first time ever in state history that we've had live statewide television coverage of every game, semifinals and finals. What's been the feedback from coaches and ADs about that?
Well, loved it. I absolutely loved it. Let's take heard a story just today. Let's take a team like Fairhope, even though they have coming from all the way down there, people are able to watch that on the network, be able to see the semifinal game on the network, being able to see my dad up there in North Alabama texted me all throughout the semifinals. I'm able to watch this game, watch that game, watch this kid play, and otherwise he wouldn't have been able to be there. So I know it impacted everybody from North Alabama to South Alabama to be able to watch the games.
Jamie, thank you so much for being with us this week on the AHSAA Weekly. Go get some rest after another very successful state finals week.
I'll do it. Thanks so much. Y'all have a great week.
Jamie Lee, Director of the Alabama High School Athletic Directors and Coaches Association, also in charge of basketball for the Alabama High School Athletic Association. Our guest this week here on the AHSAA Weekly. We will be back in just a moment.
WOTM is the television provider for all Alabama High School Athletic Association championship events and special programs. WOTM is your home for the Super 7 football, state finals basketball, baseball and softball state championships, the AHSAA Weekly Show, and WOTM also produced the first ever football playoff show, Super 7 preview show, and reclassification reveal show. Your exclusive home for all things AHSAA is WOTM. Contact your local cable provider to request WOTM to your channel lineup.
We're back on the AHSAA Weekly. One of the things we're going to do over the next couple of weeks here on the program is take you back to the 98th State High School Basketball Championships from last week at the Legacy Arena in Birmingham. We'll take you through the highlights of all the state championship games, 1A through 7A. Girls and boys will begin in Class 1A. This is the Class 1A Girls Championship. Spring Garden taking on St. Luke's Episcopal out of Mobile. Spring Garden has won 3 of the last 5 state championships in Class 1A girls. St. Luke's was looking for their first ever championship in girls 1A basketball. Ace Austin, you see her right there, number 1 from Spring Garden. She is a 7th grader and made the all-tournament team, and Spring Garden really doing it from the outside. This is a guard-oriented team. This was a close basketball game. Spring Garden got off to a slow start in both the first quarter and the third quarter as St. Luke's jumped out to a big lead in both of those quarters. But Spring Garden getting some timely three-point shooting. There's Macy Reedy there with a 3 from the outside, bringing Spring Garden closer by the half. But beginning the second half, it was St. Luke's again, coming right back out with a nice run to begin the third quarter. But Spring Garden started chipping away at the lead later on, late third, early fourth quarter. Spring Garden making their move. Brianna Rogers on the inside, Macy Reedy on the outside hitting another three. And Spring Garden was able to pull away and win the game by 8 points, 53-45. Coach Ricky Austin, his seventh state championship, actually his sixth state championship, seventh state championship in school history for the Spring Garden Panthers from Cherokee County as they beat St. Luke's Episcopal out of Mobile. In the first half of the boys championship game, this was a matchup between Pickens County of Reform and Lynette. Lynette, of course, in the white. They're a big team with Cameron and Zamrin Boozer, 6'9" twin brothers on the inside for the Lynette High School Panthers. Of course, Pickens County has a big guy of their own in there. They've got a guy named Latham on the inside, Jadarian Latham. He is going to play at the University of Alabama in football. Also, Lynette has Christian Story. You see him, number 12 in these highlights, also going to play football at the University of Alabama, a guard forward on this Lynette team. So you had a lot of size on the inside. Latham is about 6'3" and about 265 on the inside. Then the two twin towers from Lynette. This was another very close basketball game, a very competitive basketball game between Lynette and Pickens County. Lynette had won 3 state championships in Class 2A, trying to win their first state championship in Class 1A boys. Pickens County had never won a state championship, trying to win one for the first time in school history. They were very close in football this year. Of course, Lynette won the football championship. Pickens County was in the semifinals in the North Alabama championship game in football. But this was a close game, came right down to the wire. Two very even, competitive teams. But Pickens County, in the end, was the team that won the state championship in Class 1A boys. They take it back to Reform, Alabama with that state title. As even though Lynette had the size, they had the dunks. You see Boozer there with a slam dunk. Cameron Boozer, number 34, with a big slam. But in the end, it was Pickens County winning the state championship in Class 1A boys. Very close game, 57-55, a 2-point win for the Pickens County Tornadoes over the Lynette Panthers in Class 1A boys as they go out and receive their blue map and take that back over to West Alabama. Then we go to Class 2A girls. In Class 2A girls, a great matchup, a number 1 versus number 2 matchup. This was Collinsville, the number 1, taking on Cold Springs of Bremen in Coleman County, the number 2. And of course, Cold Springs, a team that is one of the perennial powers in Class 1A girls basketball. Collinsville had never won a basketball championship ever. And so they were trying to win their first one in school history, and they did it. Collinsville with a very impressive performance. Brittany Rivera was the MVP of the state tournament. You'll see her number 14 in white here in these highlights. Of course, Cold Springs is a great three-point shooting team, led by Tony West, the daughter of the head basketball coach at Cold Springs, Tammy West. And then you see, of course, Coach John Tidmore, the head coach over there at Collinsville, trying to get that elusive first ever state championship for the Collinsville Panthers. You see those threes continue to be drained in for Cold Springs, but there's Rivera. Rivera doing it on the inside, can also take it coast to coast, and a great inside and outside player both for the Collinsville Panthers out of DeKalb County. There's Rivera, turns around, 10-foot jumper from along the baseline. Rivera with a steal, then takes it coast to coast to the other end. Then a dish off on the inside. She was covered, hands it off. Just really great team play from the Collinsville team as Collinsville pulled away late. This game was closer than the score indicated, but Collinsville pulled away to win comfortably in the end. There's Rivera with another basket at the end, the MVP. John Tidmore and the Collinsville Panthers beating Cold Springs by 13, 58-45 in the 2A Girls Championship. The 2A Boys Championship had the classic ending of the entire state finals. Calhoun taking on Barber County of Clayton, two South Alabama teams going at it. And again, one of these situations where Barber County had all kinds of size on the inside, a very long team, a team that could run the ball, plays above the rim, a high-scoring team, very athletic team with a lot of size. Calhoun, a very athletic team, but not the size that Barber County has, but they do have this right here. This young man is number 3, J.D. Davison. He is only a junior, the top junior in the state of Alabama. Looks like he will be the top player in the state of Alabama for next year, regardless of classification. Multiple Division I offers. Number 3 here, taking the ball away on a steal, going coast to coast. A guy that can run the floor as well as anybody in the state of Alabama. Drives baseline, puts up a reverse shot there as well. Davison, really one of the top slam dunkers, if you could say that, in the state of Alabama. A guy that runs the floor, shoots the ball. He can play really anywhere on the floor, all positions, runs it, shoots it. Great defensive player as well. You see a slam dunk by Barber County. This was a great basketball game that came down to the wire. Probably the closest game all the way down to the very end. It came down to a last-second shot. And when you come down to a last-second shot, you want it in the hands of your best player. They say that big players make big plays in big games. And you see J.D. Davidson making all kinds of big plays, not only shooting the basketball, but with assist and also on the defensive end as well, as Calhoun looking for their first ever state title in school history. They got it 64-61 on a shot by J.D. Davison. Here it is, the game winner. A back-away jumper at the buzzer one more time. A 3 with 1.1 seconds to go in the game. And Calhoun beats Barber County by 3 to win the 2A Boys Championship by a score of 64-61 as they take the blue map back to Lita-Hatchie down in Lowndes County. 3A Girls Championship, another great matchup. Number 1 versus number 2. This was T.R. Miller of Bruton, the number 1 girls team in 3A, taking on the Pisgah Eagles, who were trying for their 3rd consecutive girls state championship in a row. And this was a T.R. Miller team that had only 1 loss on the year. Pisgah came in with a mark of 31-3. Pisgah, one of those teams, though, with Coach Kerry Ellison, so well coached. T.R. Miller the same way, well coached with their head coach Ron Jackson from down in Bruton. Very great teams here. These are teams with great three-point shooting. You're seeing that here. Teams that can run the floor. First half, a lot of threes being shot. In the second half, T.R. Miller just trying to keep pace with a very fundamentally sound Pisgah team, a team that's been here before. They have won now 3 consecutive state titles, 7 state championships in school history. You see a turnover here. T.R. Miller on the turnover, gets the shot and the putback. Then shooting threes from the outside. A very good, obviously, T.R. Miller team. Very good shooting those three-point baskets. But the Pisgah Eagles, in the end, Pisgah was the team looking for that 3rd consecutive state championship, and they got it. They won it in 18 and 19, and in 2020, Pisgah, a 7-point winner over the T.R. Miller Tigers, 59-52. 3rd consecutive win for that man, famous for the red coat. The Pisgah Eagles go back to Jackson County in northeast Alabama. State Superintendent of Education Eric Mackey presenting them with the blue map with the state championship trophy. Finally, we take a look at Class 3A boys here, and this was another great matchup between 2 very evenly matched teams, talking Lauderdale County of Rogersville and Pike County of Brundage on the boys' side. Neither one of these teams had ever won a state championship in boys basketball. Lauderdale County, their girls, one of the top girls programs in the state of Alabama, but their boys making their first ever appearance in the state championship game, taking on a Pike County team that was big on the inside with a lot of great players and a great athletic team. A true north versus south matchup here. Pike County out of the south, Lauderdale County out of the north. One of the themes this week, or last week in the state championship games, was we had so many close games. There were really no blowouts whatsoever. Even the games that wound up being in double figures were close until the very end, with one team just pulling away at the very end. And this was the same situation right here. Another very close, evenly matched game. But the size of Pike County on the inside was really the story of the game at the end. Really a matchup problem on the inside, as they really could not handle, could Lauderdale County, the inside size that Pike County presented coming out of Brundage. Pike County wins the basketball game 59-45. Again, a closer game than the score indicates, but they win it by 14. Does Pike County their first ever state championship in school history, 59-45 over Lauderdale County, as Pike County wins the state championship. Coach Holland winning a state title for the first time down in Pike County. We come back, we'll take a look at the Class 4A Girls and Boys Championships as we continue here on the AHSAA Weekly.
Uneven floors got you rolling? Ox Foundation Solutions has the expertise and the know-how to repair cracks, wet basements and crawl spaces, and uneven floors in your home. It's time to get strong. How strong? Ox Strong. Get a free estimate from Ox Foundations.
This is the AHSAA Weekly. We're going to spend the next couple of weeks on the program looking back at the state championship games from the 98th Alabama High School Athletic Association state finals in Birmingham. We're up to Class 4A now. We'll begin with Class 4A girls. A great matchup coming up. This was the Anniston High School Bulldogs taking on the Deshler Tigers. A great matchup between two great programs. You know, Anniston had been to 7 state finals, but had never won a state championship in school history. Deshler, numerous state championships, over 700 wins for their head coach. And this was Anniston now coming out with this game. Really, Alicia Dudley, the consummate point guard. She's only a junior. Look at this move on the baseline, an underhanded shot. Then driving down the paint with another bank shot from within the lane. But Deshler's a great team. Coach Jana Killen just has put together such a phenomenal program up in Tuscumbia, Alabama. And look at this right here. Calls the spot, sets the screen, and shoots a 3. That's the kind of team that Deshler has. Anniston, though, this was a team kind of on a mission. They were in the state championship game last year, lost to another Northwest Alabama team in Rogers. This year, they were just not going to be denied. Kiana Montgomery on the inside. Ariana Colley with a nice pass right there. But Dudley, who was the MVP of the state tournament, you see her going coast to coast once again right there. And this is a young Deshler team. Keep that in mind. A fairly young Anniston team coming on as well. We might see these two teams again. But Anniston with Coach Eddie Bullock trying to win his first ever state championship in 7 tries at the Legacy Arena. He did it again. In one of those games that was closer than the score indicates. But Anniston, there's Coach Bullock, wins over Deshler by 10, 61-51, as the Lady Bulldogs taking the Blue Mount back down I-20 to Calhoun County. On the boys' side, we had defending state champion Talladega with a lot of players coming back, taking on the Williamson Lions out of Mobile. And Williamson came out hot. This was a team that hit 5 threes in the first quarter. You see some of that three-point shooting here by the team out of Mobile. I'm telling you, Williamson jumped on Talladega hard in the first quarter. Give all the credit, though, to Coach Chucky Miller and the Talladega Tigers, the defending state champions. They were coming in ranked #1 in the state, and this was a team that it was not going to go away easily at all. You see a basket here by Williamson, though, right there at the end of the first quarter. This was a team that shot threes early. They shot threes late. A very long and athletic team, a team with a lot of size on the inside. That size gave Talladega a lot of trouble. Talladega shooting on the outside. Folks like Kobe Simmons, DeCorian Wilson with some big shots for Talladega. Household names, guys that were 4A Player of the Year last year, 4A MVPs in the tournament that were returning. You see Simmons here on the outside, raining down a 3 from the top of the key. But Williamson just too much on the inside. They had a big start to the first half, a big start to the third quarter of the game, and Williamson looking for their second state championship in school history. They won it back in 2007 with a guy named Nick Fairley, who played at Auburn football, but played basketball on the Williamson State Championship team in 07. Williamson had not been back in the state championship game, though, in 13 years. Coming back, trying to knock off #1 and defending state champion Talladega, and Williamson did it. The size inside, really just too much for Kobe Simmons and DeCorian Wilson and Talladega, as Williamson won over the Talladega Tigers to bring home their first state championship in 13 years and their first state championship, our second state championship in school history, as Williamson beat Talladega by a score of 68-61 to win the 4A Boys Championship at the Legacy Arena. Next week here on the program, we'll bring you the 5A, 6A, and 7A highlights from down in Birmingham. But as we close out this week's show, got a special video for you, taking you through all of the state championship games, 1A through 7A, a recap of the week. You'll enjoy it, and we'll see you back here next week on the AHSAA Weekly.
It's time to get strong. OxStrong.com.
There was never plan B, just a path I'm taking. Breaking on through on the road I'm making. I knew one day I'd get my my shot. So here I am to give it all I got. This is the big time, ready, set, go. Work so hard just to make this show. Under the lights, it's time to shine. Get your game face on, 'cause this is the big time. This is the big time. Ever since my boots first hit these streets, had to scratch early mornings and late nights. Had to put in the time just to get it right. Now it's time to make my stand. Gonna show the whole world just who I am. This is the big time. Say go. Work so hard just to make this show. Under the lights, it's time to shine. Get your game face on, 'cause this is the big time. This is the big time. This is the big time, ready, set, go. Work so hard just to make this show. The lights, it's time to shine. Get your big face on, 'cause this is the big time. This is the big time, ready, set, go. Work so hard just to make this show. Under the lights, it's time to shine. Get your game face on, 'cause this is the big time. This is the big time. The world was simple and slow, learning right from wrong. There was never plan B, just a path I'm taking. Breaking on through on the road I'm making. I knew one day I'd get my shot. So here I am to give it all I got. This is the big time, ready, set, go. Work so hard just to make this show. Under the lights, it's time to shine. Get your game face on, 'cause this is the big time. This is the big time. Ever since my boots first hit these streets, had to scratch a clock, made me hard to beat. They were real early mornings and late nights. Had to put in the time just to get it right. Now it's time to make my stand. Gonna show the whole world just who I am. This is the big time, ready, set, go. Work so hard just to make this show. Under the lights, it's time to shine. Get your game face on, 'cause this is the big time. This is the big time. This is the big time, ready, set, go. Work so hard just to make this show. Under the lights, it's time to shine. Get your game face on, 'cause this is the big time. This is the big time, ready, set, go. Work so hard just to make this show. Under the lights, it's time to shine. Get your game face on, 'cause this is the big time.